So those last few Snare Saturday videos have been all about bronze. We've heard a Ludwig Bronzephonic by itself through a few different tunings, then we heard it compared to a few other snare drums, like a vintage rocker bronze snare drum, a modern day copperphonic snare drum, and even a modern day chrome over brass snare drum. Well, in this Snare Saturday video, it is time to put the bronze to the test and see how it compares to a late 60s Ludwig Supraphonic. Yo, what's going on everybody? Nick Costa here, and in this video we're going to be comparing a Ludwig Bronzephonic snare drum to a late 60s Ludwig Supraphonic snare drum. This is to see if this modern day Bronzephonic actually fits your needs. It might be a little bit more durable than that late 60s Supraphonic, which is so heavily sought after. Now before we dive into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification. That way you're notified of any additional content that I upload to the channel. Now don't get me wrong, there's a reason why the Supraphonic is the most recorded snare drum of all time. And if you talk to fellow drummers, the majority of them are going to say that those late 60s Supraphonics just had an amazing sound, and that's the drum that you just need to have in your collection. Now, although I agree with that statement, we're all aware that vintage drums, the hardware wasn't the greatest. So if you are a working drummer who is gigging out a whole lot, of course you can gig out with a late 60s Supraphonic, though a modern snare drum is going to withstand and be a bit more durable because hardware is so much better than it was in the late 60s. So let's go ahead and compare a modern bronze snare drum to this vintage Supraphonic and maybe see if there's another snare drum that'll fit your needs you don't have in your collection. So let's go ahead and dive into the specs of each drum. Starting with the bronze snare drum, once again, this is a Ludwig Bronzephonic 5x14 drum. That's depth by diameter. This is a 1.2 millimeter seamless bronze snare drum. It has been equipped with 10 double-sided tube lugs, 2.3 millimeter triple flange hoops on the top and the bottom, Ludwig's P88 AC throw-off and P35P butt plate. And this drum is outfitted with the stock heads from Ludwig, which have been made by Remo, and I'm pretty sure it's an ambassador coated on the top and an ambassador snare side on the bottom. Finally, this drum is outfitted with the generic Ludwig snare wires. Now for the Ludwig Supraphonic, the LM400, this is a late 60s Supraphonic, which means that it is a chrome over aluminum shell. This drum is outfitted with 10 double-sided imperial lugs, triple flange hoops on the top and the bottom, though in the late 60s they were a little bit thinner than modern day 2.3 millimeter triple flange hoops. This drum is also outfitted with Ludwig's P83 throw-off, and the heads on this drum are my preferred heads, which is a Remo Ambassador X coated on the top and an Ambassador snare side on the bottom. Finally, the snare wires are the generic Ludwig snare wires from the 60s. So once again, they're most likely going to be a little bit different than the ones that are offered on modern day drums. Now, since this drum is from the late 60s, it does have that baseball bat style internal dampener. However, since the modern day Bronzephonic does not have one, I will not be engaging it throughout this video, so you can hear how both drums sound completely wide open with the current head configuration. Now, just like every other demo in the Snare Saturday video, I'm going to play both drums through a few different tunings. I'm going to start out in a low tuning and work my way up to a higher tuning. As I am in each tuning, I will transition from one drum to the next. That way you can hear the differences between them while they are in each tuning. So, enough of me talking, let's dive in. So there you have it. Obviously, there is a difference between these two drums. One is modern day, one is vintage. One is bronze, the other is chrome over aluminum. They have completely different lugs, different hoops, different heads, different throw-offs, even different snare wires. However, which one sounded better to you? That's really all that matters. So make sure that you leave that in the comment section below, letting me know. While you're there, also let me know which drum you preferred and what specific tuning you like the most. Now, if you have any other additional questions on either drum, maybe how I was tuning the drums, the gear that I am playing, or anything else, feel free to leave that in the comment section below as well, and I will try my best to answer it. Now, if you want to see the earlier Snare Saturday videos where I feature each drum individually, I put links to those videos in the description below. And if you want to see any other Snare Saturday video, I put a link to the playlist in the description below. And I'll also have it come up right here to make it a bit easier for you. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you give it a thumbs up. That way it makes it a little bit easier for others to find it. And that is it. Thank you so much for checking out this video on comparing a modern day Ludwig Bronzephonic to a vintage Ludwig Supraphonic. And until next time, see you later.